Joseph, a 17-year-old boy, spent the night in that pit while his brothers, hard-hearted brothers, hardened by jealousy, sat down and eat supper with murder in their heart and their victim in a pit. That's what jealousy will get you into. When Joseph was on his way to Egypt, David wrote about it in Psalms 105, and he said those chains and bracelets hurt his ankles, and he was laid in arms. I wonder so many times what went through his mind. I left home, 17-year-old boy. I intended to go back to Daddy and tell him about the flock. I wonder what's happened. I wonder if Daddy's waiting for me. I wonder what's going on with Benjamin. I wonder what. I never thought my brothers would throw me in a pit. I never thought they'd sell me into a bunch of strangers carrying me somewhere, and I don't have any idea unless it's Egypt where I'm going. A boy shackled in chains. He was worth something to them. They had paid 20 pieces of silver for him, and they was carrying him down to Egypt to sell him. Can you see how cruel Satan is and how cruel jealousy really is? 17-year-old when he left home. When they brought him down to Egypt, what kind of an auction block they had, what kind of a sales they had, I don't know. But little Joseph was put on the auction block, and Potiphar bought the little boy called Joseph. I'm referring to him as a little boy, maybe 17-year-old. He was considered to be grown back then, I don't know. But a little boy had been sheltered, always close around the house. Now then, he's furthest away from home that he's ever been in his life. I'd never thought my brothers would do this to me. I never thought I'd have ball and chains on my ankles. I never thought I'd be laid out in arms. And now here I am on the auction block. If I could just see a familiar face, if somebody in the crowd from home would recognize who I am and bid me off and carry me back home, I'd love to see Daddy again. I know the brothers hated me. They wanted to kill me. But I sure would like to go home. Sold off to an officer in Pharaoh's army. What he brought, I don't know. Have no idea. They'd paid 20 pieces of silver for him. Joseph left home simply to go to Shechem, find out about the herd and the boys, and go back to Daddy. Now then he'd gone to Dothan, spend the night in a pit. Now then he's on his way to Egypt. Takes a lot of patience and a lot of the love of God to realize and know maybe that God was just moving his man around to the place that he wanted him to be. When Joseph put on the auction block, he was bid off to the highest bid, an officer of Pharaoh's army called Potiphar. Potiphar carries his new purchased possession home with him and said, here's what I want you to be doing. Here's your responsibilities. Met the men of the house. This is my wife. Got him familiar with the place. And probably supervised all that Joseph was doing. And it wasn't long until Potiphar realized there's something different to this boy. He knew that there was something between him and God. He knew that this was God's man. Evidently by the way that Joseph done, talked, or conducted himself. And Potiphar realized how things had changed around the house. Joseph prospered. That meant Potiphar prospered. Things started looking good. And to think about it, it started happening when I bought Joseph and brought him in. Things just seemed to start falling in place. Seemed like there was a harmony around the house. Seemed like the things that never did jive in there. And he said, Joseph, I'm under the persuasion that there's something between you and Jehovah God. He recognized that Joseph was a man of God. Come in on a slave caravan, not knowing his past until he brought him in the house. But under observation of Joseph, he said, I see something in you, and I believe there's a relation between you and God. I believe that you're God's man. And as time goes on, Potiphar said, Joseph, I'm going to put you in charge of everything that I own. As time goes on, Potiphar, I'm sure, come home and ate lunch, dinner, whatever. But Potiphar noticed something strange. Things had fallen in places. There was peace around his house. And he recognized that this was one of God's men. And Potiphar said, I want you to be in charge of everything that I've got. And really, he said, I don't even know how much I'm worth. I don't even know what I've got. I've got a full trust in you, and I believe that you'll take care of everything I've got. Only one thing I'll withhold from you. He was blessed because of Joseph, a little slave boy that had no idea where he was headed and what God had in store for him. But as Potiphar began to increase in wealth, men servants and things like that, the devil knew about the famine. The devil knew what was coming and said, I'll stir up his brothers to kill him. And then his plan failed, went awry, and they put him in a pit. The devil said, I'll kill him anyway. But then if I can't, I'll ship him down to Egypt and get rid of him. Then I'm sure he said, I'm rid of that little fella. He'll spoil my plans. But when he got in Potiphar's house, things went well. And then the devil said, I've got to do something with this troublemaker. He's caused trouble. I've got rid of him. Now he's down here and things are going good in Potiphar's house. I'll have to get rid of him. God's got something in mind for him, and I'll follow the plan. I'll get rid of Joseph. Potiphar's wife made an improper move towards this little man, and he rejected her move she made on him. This continued how long, I don't know. But she would say, Joseph, come lay with me. And Joseph said, how can I do this great sin? How can I do this great transgression and sin against my God? According to the story of our famous basketball player and the 19-year-old girl, there's no law against adultery. According to God, there was. According to Joseph, there was. And Joseph conducted himself by it. And I believe that's one reason he had power with God. He obeyed the laws of God. Nobody would know anything about it. Potiphar's gone. I'm no telling how far away from home. But I'm inside of God at all times. Amen. Makes a difference, don't it? I'm inside of God all the time. And God knows what I'm doing, where I'm at, what's going on. He knows about this. And I know it's wrong. And I know if I do this, great sin, I'd sin against